It's the 6th of February. It's a Tuesday. It's the second trading day of the first full business and markets week in the second month of the year. Welcome everyone to Frontier Opening Bell. Let's just raise the curtain with a look at some of the African bourses that we cover for you on a daily basis on the equity side. Again, the Nigerian stock market started the week on a negative note. We lost about 600 billion naira on the total market value on Monday as investors booked down stocks in the banking space. Zenith Bank was down, GTCO was down by about 2%. MTN shares also fell back yesterday. We got a few gains, however. Volume and turnover was also very strong, and as well as in currency value, about 16 billion naira in total currency value. Then you've got the total transactions about 13,000. So there's a whole lot of appetite out there for now for the stocks, but folks are just bargain hunting and now booking a bit of profit. Good shares, however, which is the only listed power generating company of the Nigerian market, finished in the growing territory. That gain, of course, and a few others moderated the trading days decline. The BRVM down by 0.03% just to start the new week at 207.81. The Egyptian market continued to ride in the growing territory after last week's news that a deal is on the table of up to $10 billion for Egypt from the IMF, the World Bank, and other partners. Look at the Nairobi stock market. The central bank governor, Kamal Thugge, will today deliver the decisions of the Monetary Policy Committee of the central bank in Kenya. The expectations is going to be at least another rate hike, at least about 100 to 200 basis points expected from Thugge's Monetary Policy Committee later today as Kenya's inflation, or core inflation, remain a very worrying position for the central bank and for William Ruto's administration. The South African stock market down by 0.5% on Monday. Let's take it out, look up at the East African big stories. Of course, the big story from East Africa, the biggest economy today, is the interest rate decision, the first in the new year, by Kamal Thugge and the rest of his team on the MPC. However, Stanbic Bank Kenya reports that the country's manufacturing activity, industrial production, was better at 49.8 reading in the month of January. That's higher than 48.8 reading in the month of December, but still below the water at 49.8. That's still below the expansionary level. So Kenya's manufacturing activity is expanding, but still underwater. S&P Global Ratings backs Kenya's Sukuk bond with a plan that William Ruto and his team are looking to see to support the country's flagging fiscal deficit. In DR Congo, the country says it's mobilizing about $25 million on the local markets. That's the Central African region, or the CEMAC region, to be more precise. And Bank says it's injecting about $200 million into the Congolese mining sector to improve the country's mining revenue and deepen that sector in the DRC, the biggest economy in Central Africa. Let's check into Nigeria. Of course, by now you know the interview held with the central bank governor on Monday on Arise News. I had a chat with the Nigeria's new central bank governor just 4 months into office, and he says the signaling that is getting is that there'll be further tightening, and that the current tightening is working as far as inflation is concerned, and that cycle is likely going to continue. Some analysts are looking at between 100 and 300 basis points when Cardoso and the rest of his new team of MPC members meets February 26 and 27. It's going to be a must-watch monetary policy meeting. The DMO, Nigeria's debt office, is selling two papers at about 12% and 13%. It's the monthly savings bond for the month of February. In the meantime, money lenders, digital lenders in Nigeria will have to beware because of the relationship between them and their customers. Those are the fraudulent activities, all the consumer protection, consumer issues, which the FCCPC, the agency responsible for federal competition and consumer protection, is working on, says it's going to continue to clamp down on digital money lenders that breach these existing laws. The CEO and the head of that agency was changed recently. There's a new chairman in office, and the new chairman and the head of that agency says, look, all existing rules stay in place. Shell Petroleum is looking to do roughly $2.5 billion gas development in Nigeria. That'll be good news after Shell sold down on his onshore oil project in Nigeria just a few weeks ago. Fitch Ratings is looking at Ghana's rate expectations and says there could be an upside risk to those expectations. In the meantime, Benin Republic is preparing to go to the global debt market with about 750 million US dollars in bond raising. Keep those activities in mind. Let's touch on with East Africa, with Southern Africa. Of course, the whole issue around next election in April. Of course, clock is ticking for the ANC and President Ramaphosa's administration on the next major election, which will be in April. That will be a defining factor for Ramaphosa's political career, as well as the ANC, the ruling party, since 1984, when the black majority rule started in Africa's most advanced economy. But if you look outside South Africa, looking at Zambia, looking to jump into the waters in terms of buying and selling some of the coppers that is produced. So it's going to be Zambia officially taking on Mecuria, Glencore, and a few other major traders in copper and who do copper business in Zambia, one of Africa's biggest points for copper production. But the country now says it wants to get directly involved, not just sharing production, but also get involved in buy and selling. Wish everyone the best. South Africa's minimum hourly wage up about 8.5%. That's now about 27.5 South African rand, and that will be from the month of March. That's a wage increase. Nigeria is also debating, have a committee set up to look at minimum wage revision as the country's inflation remained very sticky to the upside and exchange rates gone down. The drain, as far as the Naira is concerned, 1,500, officially 1,420 roughly on Monday at the NAFEX market. Let's look at Botswana. Says no to Elon Musk's Starlink project deal in the southern mining country, the head of diamond production in South Africa. In southern Africa and entire Africa, that's where Botswana is. So the resource country says no to Starlink's Elon Musk project. The IMF is asking Malawi to stay the course on reforms as far as the economy is concerned. It says keep your fingers steady on the button. And finally, Mozambique is getting about $40 million from the EFDB for the Maputo Railway project. And that are some of the headlines out of Southern Africa. Let's see what's grabbing the headlines in to the north of the continent, where the Central Bank of Tunisia left interest rates at 8% to start a new year, while the Egyptian pound, according to Oxford Economics, should stand at about 55 to $1 by the end of the year. Some are forecasting up to 60 Egyptian pounds to fetch $1. And Egypt is reporting the January non-oil business down about 48.1 against 48.5 in December. And that, of course, is a contraction as it were. Morocco's 2023 trade deficit was down 7% to about 286 billion dinars because it's a little bit of a lower revenue around tourism and lower imports as well. And of course, you've got Algeria, to sum it up, says its oil production will continue beyond the end of March, which is just next month. And those are some of the headlines we're following at this time. I want you to stay close to Frontier Africa Reports. Some of the biggest news coming out of Nigeria, looking to set up a new gateway banking process for international relationships between Nigerian commercial banks and others. But those are the headlines at this point. Let's leave it there. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.